Hi everyone, my name is Matt, and today I will be talking about what it's like being a Christian, my struggles being it, and some of my thoughts. When I was young, I went to a church in my local hometown in Ann Arbor, Michigan. During my time at my church in my young childhood, I had a minister who is very kind, compassionate, and understanding of me. He treated me with respect and helped pray with me when I struggled with hard times of my disability, which is autism, including a learning disability. In my local church when I was young, I dealt where I got bullied by some of the other church members, including some of the other kids, for struggling with my disability. The minister stood up for me. He had told the people that bullying someone with a disability isn't right, and Jesus wouldn't approve. This made me feel good, and knowing that there was a minister who really cared about people who are different, especially people with disabilities like me. He had told me that he wanted me to try to be a human being with kindness, including compassion and understanding when people are mean or they are so focused on bigotry or hate. He had also told me that Jesus was also an advocate for social justice, people with disability rights, including human rights, wanted to help the poor, including the disadvantaged, and the need for better health care for people who are struggling with health care issues. As I further progressed in my local church as I got older, near middle school through high school, it was sad seeing my minister had left, and then they had replaced with another minister and some of the other people at my church. It became much harder. There are many reasons why it became much harder, because many of the people at this local church had started to tease me even more about struggling with my disability. Many of them had started to use Jesus' name as a way to hate against people with disabilities, and it became much harder for me. I decided it was time to leave the church because I couldn't deal with getting bullied for simply just having a disability or if I struggled. When I had left the church, I continued to go on a quest of my own to figure out what does it mean to be a Christian. I started to ask questions like, am I a bad person for not going to church? And many others. As I further progressed on my own in the past, along with currently, I started to deal with the hardships of being a Christian with a disability. I have dealt in times with many people, including some of my friends or people that I know, along with people who are very religious who continue to bully me for simply struggling with my autism spectrum. Many people who are very religious were continuing to use a lot of bigotry expressions. For example, like saying how people with disabilities shouldn't deserve equal rights, they just deserve to go to hell, or they don't belong in society, and that Jesus doesn't like people with disabilities. I became feeling more conflicted about myself as a Christian. Am I a bad person for simply struggling with my disability? This question kept playing in my mind so many times a day, even before I went to bed. I had to self reflect myself on asking these questions. What are my principles of being a Christian? How do I understand myself with an autism spectrum? What do I want to be a Christian in a society where it is polarized and filled with bigotry, including hate? To be honest, these questions are not never easy, and it became harder to figure out how to understand it for myself. As I started to thinking of these things, I always remember how My previous minister at my local church, before he left, had told me that a person with a disability isn't a bad person. They are simply just trying to navigate life, and Jesus cares about human rights, including people with disability rights, even if people make mistakes and they deserve to try to find redemption or to have some way to improve themselves. Jesus wants to be an advocate for the poor, including the disadvantaged or other ideas of social justice, especially healthcare reform. After playing his speech to me in my mind, I decided it's time for me to try to be a creative Christian. What does it mean to when I say I'm a creative Christian? It's not easy to explain, but here's the things that I can say about being a creative Christian. First, I have to tell myself that I am just a human being who is struggling with my disability, but I want to be a good person in society, rather if I make mistakes or if people get mean at me. Second, I decided that I want to volunteer to help many people who are disadvantaged, including the poor, where they are just simply just trying to navigate life, or if they struggle in poverty, or if they can't get help. Third is to continue to study Jesus Christ, Moses, Buddha, Pope Francis, and some of the other religious figures to try to figure out how I can try to represent what their vision is for the world or for society to be like on social justice causes, especially on human rights, including people with disability rights. Fourth, try to be a human being who wants to do good things, like being compassionate, including understanding of people when they face struggles, along with using critical thinking, while being creative at learning things, or trying to be an understanding on how to do tasks efficiently. Finally, try to be kind to other people when people are mean at me. To be honest, these things are never easy because too many times I dealt with the same thing where too many people get mean at me. Even more, sometimes I get spit at, or even being called mean names like retard, or dealing with the anti disability stigma that is being presented in society. Also, another thing that is harder is how too many people who are very religious continue to use Jesus' name as a way to hate people with disabilities like me, or to even use Jesus' name as a way to hate against the poor, or social justice causes, or even healthcare reform. I had tried to join other social groups that were filled with Christians or other church social groups to try to see if I can find some people to be with who have common interests or to even make new friends. But it didn't work because I dealt with the same thing where people got meaner. I kept thinking to myself again, how do I comfort myself when people are mean at me? Am I a bad person for simply just trying to follow the right philosophies of Jesus, Moses, Buddha, and some of the other religious figures? Should I have to sacrifice the good principles of Christianity that I have learned or have learned from other religious figures that I have studied in order to fit with other people? I began to question myself. Should I have to give up being a Christian due to the people being mean at me, including when people use religion as a way to hate others, especially people with disabilities? Should I have to live with the guilt for simply just trying to be a good Christian, even if I struggle with my disability or if I make mistakes, and many others? I had to again to start thinking of how to be a creative Christian. I would spend time going on YouTube looking for videos, including on Apple Music, to look for gospel songs that have God messages about kindness, including compassion, along with figuring out how to overcome struggles in life. I listen to gospel music as a way to help heal myself and feel connected to Jesus, or to try to remind myself that it is okay that I'm a human being with a disability. It's okay if I struggle. It's very important to not lose the important parts of life like kindness, including compassion, along with understanding, along with critical thinking. When I listen to gospel music, I close my eyes sometimes. Sometimes I cry if the songs are very connected with my feelings. I spend time praying all the time. It's hard for me to explain what my prayers are like. The best thing that I can say is that my prayer is I want a world to be a better place, a place where there isn't bigotry or hate against people who are different, especially people with disabilities. I want a world where we can have better healthcare services to help people who are poor or are simply struggling with pre existing conditions or even other health illnesses to get proper care without being denied. I want to have a better environmental protection to help reduce pollution in order to protect on many generations. I want a comprehensive criminal justice reform to help protect people's rights while reducing crime, along with reduce wrongful convictions. I want a common sense approach to immigration reform where we can help immigrants, including refugees, along with some dreamers who are trying to escape from an oppressive country or to be in a place where they cannot be oppressed or lose their human rights to have a chance in life, and many others. Also, another thing that I do with my prayers to God is about myself. I tell God, to be honest, I'm a person that struggles with my autism spectrum, where it can be hard for people to understand when I struggle or when I accidentally make mistakes. I may not be a perfect person, but I want to be a better human being with good values or wanting to do good things. Along with my prayers to God, I try to tell Him that I am simply just want people to be kinder and understanding of me as a human being who wants to do good things, even if I struggle with my disability or if I'm not a perfect person like other people. I pray this type of phrase every day. Another thing that I struggle with is how do I understand when people, including some of my friends or people that I know, or some coworkers or some volunteers who like to bully me or say mean things to me, or sometimes through other forms of harassment like spitting or hitting and many other harassments. I struggle with this mixed feeling because I feel angry and sad too. I feel hurt when people do these things. I try my best as I can to forgive people for the wrongdoing, and I even try to give good insights into my feelings. Like when you say mean things, it hurts my feelings. Or when you call me mean names, like a retard, it makes me uncomfortable. When you spit at me or do other physical harassment or other harassments, it hits me hard. Even if I say good insights like these phrases, it doesn't work all the time. Many people react to it in a mean way, where they can try to provoke me in a negative way. I struggle as a Christian with this because Jesus tells me I have to forgive people. I have to ignore when people do mean things. All I can simply just do is be quiet. Don't make eye contact with the people who are mean. Keep my head down, and all I can do privately is to pray that people will learn how to be kinder and understanding of people who are different, especially people with disabilities. I have spent my time volunteering in my community by doing soup kitchens, including food banks, in other places in the past. and for about 5 years, including currently, helping feed homeless people in a small volunteering community. It's a struggle many times because I deal with the harshness from other volunteers about my struggles with a disability, or if I struggle on trying to multitask at a fast pace or even at a certain pace. Another thing that I struggle with volunteering is sometimes people who are homeless or who are poor get very aggressive at me when I can't help them with everything, like if we run out of food, including grocery bags, so fast, or if they don't like a certain food that we give them. I have to keep my emotions in check because sometimes I feel like I want to cry, or sometimes I feel like I'm a guilty person because my struggles with the disability, and or if I can't help everybody in need. The guilt eats inside me hard. I feel like I'm a broken person. Am I a failure to God? Am I a failure to the people in general? Am I not a perfect Christian if I continue to try to figure out to be again a creative Christian on this approach? In this approach, all I can simply just do is to remind myself that if I can't perform at every task during volunteering, like how other people want me to be, all I can do is simply just try to help and do the best I can. I try to use critical thinking as an advantage when I try to help feed homeless people or even people who are struggling to give grocery bags to them. For example, I try to pay attention to how long the line is where I can use reasonable judgment. If I feel like I can give them seconds, I always tell them to wait 10 to 15 minutes. Then I can give you some extra food to take. Even if I can't help everybody during my volunteering, all I can do is say that we will always try to do our best to help everybody in need on every week. Also, to mention, as a creative Christian, I like to spend time with my Jesus Christ doll, along with my Moses and Buddha and Pope Francis, as a way to help give me comfort when the world and people get mean at me. In conclusion, being a Christian is a big struggle for me all the time. I have to live in the world where there is polarization. People are addicted to bigotry or hate against people who are different, especially people with disabilities, and how people who are very religious continue to use Jesus' name or other religious figures as a way to justify hate against common sense ideas like social justice, human rights, including people with disability rights, criminal justice reform, universal health care, and immigration reform. I have to struggle on a daily basis of not having too many friends or people who are appreciative of me for just simply just trying to be a human being who wants to do good things, even if I struggle with my disability. I have to deal with the hardships of being a Christian with a disability or someone who wants to have good principles, where I get rejected by other religious people or sometimes my own religion for just wanting to have good principles. All I have to do is to be a creative Christian where I can continue to focus on trying to do God's work of wanting to make a world a better place, including me to continue to be a human being who wants to do good things, even if I struggle, and continue to use critical thinking or strategies to help motivate me to not give up being a Christian. If people reject me, or other people who are very religious reject me for simply just trying to be a different Christian or who is being creative Christian, all I can do is to tell myself that I want to be on a good path. Continue to be a human being who wants to do good things, even if I struggle with my disability. And I shouldn't have to sacrifice the principles, including lessons that I have learned from Jesus Christ, in order to be with other people. I have to continue on following Jesus' philosophy, along with his principles of kindness, compassion, understanding, critical thinking, his advocacy for the poor, including the disadvantaged, his ideas of social justice, along with human rights, including people with disability rights, and especially universal health care reform. I know that in today's climate or in the political climate, these fundamental principles that I have learned from Jesus are not very popular. People use Jesus' name for hate, including bigotry against people who are different, including people with disabilities, being against the poor, being against universal health care, and being against social justice. All I can do is remind myself that I am simply just a creative Christian who wants a world to be a better place. And Jesus' philosophy is so important in society that we live in. I must continue on the journey of being a creative Christian to learn about the world, to educate myself about social justice, including human rights, especially people with disability rights, wanting to help the poor or disadvantaged or the disabled through volunteering, and continue to try my best to be a human being with a disability in a world where it is broken, or when I get rejected by other people, or when people don't appreciate me for trying my best to be a decent person when I struggle or if I can't have friends. I have to be a creative Christian where I can always pray and dream for a world to be a better place for everyone, especially people with disabilities or people who are struggling on navigating society too, and for me to have something good things in life. Thanks for listening.